The following podcast contains strong language. Hello and welcome back to the Ciné Rambles podcast. You're listening to Nick
and Andrew,
and we're here with your weekly fix of film-related reviews and ramblings.
Well, should we jump straight into it?
Well, might as well.
So there is some news. Tenet's been pushed back again.
Unsurprisingly.
By another, 18 days or something stupid.
So what's the official date now?
19th of August, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah, not much.
Poor Nolan. The horror. He's had to push it back a month.
Yeah.
So, well, in that case, because as far as I know, the cinemas are still opening some of them are starting to open on the 10th of July. I know Cineworld's...
Oh, sorry, 12th of August, not the 9th of August.
Okay. I know Cineworld's now delayed its reopening till the 31st of July, I think.
Okay.
But for the ones which are opening in July, what's being shown? Because I thought the whole point was they're opening for Tenet, but if Tenet's being delayed...
I don't know.
Because I know, well, there's talk of having, classic films being screened again to get people coming back, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
No, I don't think so.
I think the best thing that's not Tenet that I've heard coming on is Empire Strikes Back is getting a 4K remaster in cinemas.
See?
But, I mean...
It's pretty cool.
It is good, and that's sort of a bucket list kind of item for me to see, the original trilogy in the cinema in some fashion, so... But even still, without Tenet in July, you might as well just delay all the cinemas reopening then till August, you know?
Yeah. It's weird that, but also, what's coming out after Tenet? When will other things come out? Because, as far as I know, the next closest thing is in November, isn't it?
Well, I think... So, Mulan, I don't think was given a specific date, so I think they can drop that whenever. So I think that might be next after Tenet.
Okay.
I know... So, Black Widow and Wonder Woman 84 are both October, I think. Which is still a long way away, but, but it is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is weird.
Because, I mean, well, they pushed everything back to, October, November, because they thought this crisis would last longer than it... Well, I mean, it's still not going to disappear, but that's a different matter.
Yeah.
But you'd think in that case they could sort of just bring them back again.
Yeah. They might, pull them forward, do you think?
Well, maybe... Well, because I've seen things like Black Widow and No Time to Die, which were basically ready to go, but have been delayed. Presumably can just be dropped at whenever, but the problem is the marketing.
Yeah.
Because I'll need a couple of months to rebuild the hype and all that, so that's the problem. So maybe by the time they've made the decision to move it forwards and then restart the train, it will already be too late or too expensive or something.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, so, Nick, I want to quickly talk to you about the Disney Plus ratings system.
Oh, love a bit of ratings. Tell me all about the censorship.
Well, see, it's very strange, because obviously Disney is so child-orientated that any sort of, anything above, a PG, they plaster the age rating everywhere.
Right.
Which is weird, because Marvel is all 12.
Yeah.
And then The Mandalorian's a 15, isn't it?
Is it? No.
Or it might be a 12, actually.
Mandalorian's a PG, isn't it?
I mean, there's a lot of just shooting and...
Yeah, but is there any blood?
No.
See, that's the thing. Because, I mean, the original Star Wars trilogies are you.
Yeah.
And
even if someone gets fucking fried in, the first 10 minutes...
Yeah, but I think it's a... I mean, I don't know, actually, off the top of my head, but I suspect it's a PG, because there's no language, there's no nudity.
It is a PG.
You're correct. there's no... all the violence is bloodless, and therefore... And also it's fantasy violence, so they get away with it. It's really weird how ratings work.
Well, yeah, so on to this, right? We watched Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and then Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End.
Which sounds like a nightmare for me, but if that's what you want to spend your evening on.
We didn't watch them in the same evening, but we watched them back-to-back evenings. And they're good. I remember At World's End being bad when it came out when I was 9, and I remember it being panned, but it's not that bad. It's not of the trilogy, the original trilogy, it's definitely the worst one, but not by a massive amount. I think it holds up. It's still decent, and it's a good, satisfying conclusion. And there's a cool boat fight at the end.
Yeah, well, it's a boat fight that, as I recall, lasts 2 hours.
No, it's fucking. It is long. I'll give you that.
Well, no,
It's very long.
I remember my problem with it. Again, I've also not seen it since I was like maybe 12. But my collection was not only was the boat scene, not only was it a long film, but like it's basically almost one scene for it felt like for the entire thing. Like it was just this one fight that just went on and on and on and on and on.
No, that's just not right.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool. There's I think it suffered the Disney-itis much more than the other two did.
What, in terms of like dumbing it down or?
Well, no. So I mean, as in attempting to make it appeal to the widest audience possible.
Okay, the homogenization.
And I'll get to that in a second.
Right.
But you know how? So the first one was a complete fucking gamble. And they made this film off a fucking ride at Disneyland, and it fucking worked, and it was really good, and everyone loved it, and they thought Johnny Depp was the tits, and it exploded. And then the second one is also really good. It holds up. What I will say about both of all three of them, but particularly the Dead Man's Chest and At World's End are the special effects are amazing. Like the character design, especially on Davy Jones and his crew, is really, really good, and the CGI holds up really well.
Yeah, which is quite impressive for that time as well.
Yeah, but the practical effects on the boats, on the ships, are amazing. Like having the fucking ships explode with the practical effects they use is incredible. Like is a real spectacle. Like it looks amazing.
There's that shot of the British commander like descending down the stairs as his ship's exploding by. Yeah. That is a really good shot, to be fair.
Yeah, there is a lot of really good stuff in there. Also, there was a joke that obviously flew completely over my head as a fucking 9-year-old. There's a fucking wanking joke in the third one that that flew over my head as a 9-year-old, and then when I came back to it as a 22-year-old, I was like, "Excuse me, what?"
Can you recall it?
It was something about going blind because he's done it 5 times already today. And he's like, "Oh, I can still see properly." And it's like, oh, fucking Jesus Christ.
That's weird for a Disney film.
There's a lot of really subtle jokes that are just confusing and feel really out of place in the last one.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. We just fucking went off on one.
Well, that's a review of World's End for anyone who hasn't seen it.
So when you click on a film, like in Netflix, it gives you the rating at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
So for Dead Man's Chest, it's, like a PG or 12 or whatever it is. And then
12.
You know how on Netflix, right, it always says... So if you click on... We've been watching F is for Family a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I can talk about that as well, actually. But When you click on F is for Family, it says 18, and then it says sex language, drug use, sexual references... that kind of stuff. It's got all of that.
It's the BBFC guidance, but just like shortened down.
Yeah. So on Disney, they do a similar thing. However, in Pirates of the Caribbean, they seemingly miss out so much. Because for both Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, all they have is rated 12+, and then for the reasons why, it just says tobacco use.
What?
And then, within the first fucking... yeah. Within the first fucking, genuinely the first 30 seconds of At World's End, a man gets his eye plucked out by a crow, and that man is still alive, and you can hear his screams of pain ringing as the camera flies through this city, and it's like, what?
What?
Yeah, it's mad. Wait, that might be the beginning of the other one.
Oh.
What's it called? Dead Man's Chest.
Tobacco use.
Yeah. So now, every time someone died in it, we were like, oh, that's some risky tobacco use. Also, these are fucking pirates who are drinking and murdering all the time.
That almost feels like it must be a glitch.
I mean, you'd think so.
But I thought it was just going to say violence, because that's the reason it's 12. If that's what I don't get sometimes is certainly on DVD covers this was a problem. They'd list the one element that was a problem and nothing else. It's you get a film that's rated 18 and just be violence, and Could you expand upon that in any way? bit more detail, maybe. But like, so it's like I've seen before they just state, but in that case for pirates it would be like 12 violence, and if you're lucky, fantasy violence.
Yeah.
But that feels to completely miss the main point of the content.
Which is weird, like, that's what they've picked up on. Like,
Yeah.
tobacco use is so influential on children now, but, fucking running them through with your sword and shooting them in the face is fine.
Well, see, what that implies is that the violence and anything else is at a PG level, but the tobacco use is what pushed it to 12. That's the specific 12 rating part of it.
Yeah.
Which can't be right.
I mean, I guess.
Like, that's how that normally works, but that's such a strange... What? Why is that a 12?
But there's some really, really, like... I don't want to say pushing the age rating, because obviously it's fine. Like, I watched it when I was 9 and I wasn't freaked out by it or anything.
Yeah, but it is...
But there is some very, like, on the edge depictions of gore and of violence. Like,
I mean, I think Pirates of the Caribbean as a franchise is literally, like, right on the very edge of what you can get away with violence-wise, while still being a family film.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's... like
and it is good. Like, the swashbuckling is fun. But, you do have people getting shot, run through. There's a bit where someone gets their throat slit open, and, I mean, it does do the... Reservoir Dogs thing of moving the camera away, but then it's like, someone gets their fucking head caved in with a fucking axe and then thrown overboard.
I don't remember this at all.
Also, right, in the fucking World's End, I just want to point this out, right, very quickly.
Okay.
So the bit where they swing the ship over? They have to rock the ship so it flips over, because they're like, to get back to the mortal world, you have to up is down. Is the thing. Up is down at sunrise, and then you can get back to the mortal world.
Is this going to be an actually point?
No. So they are in purgatory.
Okay.
And they're like, we've got to get out of here because we're all alive souls and we've got to leave purgatory so we can go back to the mortal world, right? But when they're fucking rocking that ship, one of their crew falls off. And they don't stop to get him back on the ship. He falls off, and they just fucking leave him behind. So that poor fucking bloke is trapped in purgatory, in the middle of the fucking ocean in purgatory, forever.
Yeah, but he was an unnamed character, so it's fine. No one cares.
It's just like, fucking hell. They just fucking leave him. They're like, oh, whatever. Also, in that same scene, someone gets crushed with a fucking cannon, as if that wouldn't cause an explosion of body parts and leave, like, a huge mess everywhere. And they all just shrug it off, and they're like, oh, whatever.
Can anyone die in purgatory? Because if they're in purgatory, they're already sort of dead.
Well, yeah, I guess. But
also,
I don't
how
know.
do they get to purgatory again? That seems a bit metaphysical.
They sail off the edge of the world at World's End.
I don't remember this much bullshit in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Also, there's this bit right at the beginning where Calypso, the voodoo woman,
Vaguely.
yeah, she's like, oh, there is a new evil on the seas. It's an evil unlike no other, and it's supposed to be Davy Jones, right? But you can just fucking tell that they're talking about the British Empire. Because it then cuts to the British Admiral guy. It's like, fucking hell, could you be any less fucking on the nose? It's I do like that though, how like they have Davy Jones as this mystical evil, but actually the the real evil in this story is the British.
We were the real monsters, That's the moral.
Well, it's not wrong. Anyway, that's Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's I'm screaming about 10-year-old film? Older than that even?
2007 is when okay. I say the last one.
Oh.
But, then there was 2 sequels that were dog shit, so.
I mean, I remember we saw the 4th one in cinemas. I've never seen the 5th one, but I've heard terrible things. And they're making a 6th one, apparently.
Oh yeah, but it's a 6th one it's a soft reboot, I think. Because it's with, is it Margot Robbie?
Margot Robbie's in it / producing, yeah.
I think she's the main character, it's not got Johnny Depp in it.
Okay.
So I think it's a completely rebooted.
Why not, I mean, I'm not saying, I was going to say, I might just make a different pirate film, but I don't know,
Well, to be fair, probably will be a completely different pirate-based film, but
Just with a name for like marquee
yeah,
value.
I don't think it will be a reboot in the way it's a rewrite of the same fucking thing, just with a woman playing Johnny Depp. I think it will be a completely new story with just the same title slapped on it.
I guess my point is, who still cares about Pirates of the Caribbean? Like, it's a very early 2000s franchise.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's what I said, right? So once World's End finished, we were like, okay, so next time we'll watch On Stranger Tides, which is number 4. And I was like, I reckon there's So when did the first one come out? Like 2003, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then the second one came out 2006.
Yeah, I think
So Dead Man's Chest came out in 2006, and World's End came out in 2007.
I think those two are filmed like back to back, like Lord of the Rings was. I mean,
So they made those two, very close together, and then World's End didn't perform very well because no one really liked it, even though it's not that bad. I don't think.
Yes, we're very clear that you like it.
I don't love it. I wouldn't. It's not like. The first one is definitely the best one, but it's not as awful as everyone says it is. So I think it's fine.
Sure.
Anyway, I reckon. So then the next one came out in 2011.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I think it was they waited because obviously it flopped, and it was like they waited long enough for it to be nostalgia before they made another one.
Right.
Because, they were like, oh, it's a new Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's got Johnny Depp in it, and Jeffrey Rush, and, oh, no, Orlando Bloom's not there, but we've got,
we've got someone who can act.
Yeah, we've got... It's funny because it's true. And then exactly, and then that one underperformed, so then they did exactly the same thing with Salazar's Revenge.
But then that came out that came out the other year.
And then that came out 7 years later. I think it's 2018.
But there's the initial run where something's around and popular. Then you get the nostalgia period, and then that tapers off. And there's decades for the next nostalgia period, like 30 years or so. In the same way we're nostalgic for like the 80s now. So it's not that if we waited long enough, it'll be nostalgic again. You've not waited long enough. Pirates of the Caribbean it's just no one cares in 2018 when it was when that came out. All I remember was people being like, another one, why, what is this still going on? Like, no one cared. No one was like, oh cool, Pirates is back. They're like, oh, what, Pirates is back?
Yeah.
So I felt like they should sort of just let it die. But
have you seen Pirates Band of Misfits? Or
is
Pirates and Adventures with Scientists, or whatever it's called?
No, I've got a minor story about this. I wanted to see it in the cinema. I never got around to it. My sister then bought it on DVD, watched it with my parents while I wasn't home. So I've never got around to seeing it. Everyone just betrayed me. But I've always wanted to see it and never got around to it.
It's good.
Great. I was just felt mildly betrayed by that. They're like, oh, haven't you seen it? I'm like, no! We're going to see it together. Anyway.
So I think it was called Pirates and Adventures with Scientists in the UK, because I'm Googling that and it's coming up with Pirates a Band of Misfits, which I'm guessing is
that's the American title, I believe.
American title. Which is weird, why rename it? What is there some fucking thing in the 1930s in the UK that was called Pirates a Band of Misfits?
No. Do you know
they couldn't?
Do you know what I seriously reckon it is?
What?
I reckon they were like, a film with the title involving the word scientists won't do well in America.
They did that for philosophers.
I was going to say, they're like, Americans won't know what a philosopher is, so we'll call it a sorcerer. I mean, they had to redub the film, so every time they say philosopher's stone, they have to say sorcerer, and it's apparently really badly lip synced.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to bet money, but that's part of the reason they changed it. Like, oh, taking my children to see pirates with scientists, not my innocent Christian children. Come along now. I reckon that's part of it.
I mean, yeah.
And what else could it be?
Yeah.
Also, even that's a dumb name. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, that is a dumb name. But I was going to say, do you think maybe it's because Misfits was at its height then, wasn't it? As in the TV show Misfits with all the...
Wait, what? So you're saying the family-oriented Aardman pirate film
Yeah.
was trying to capitalize on the hype of Misfits, the
No,
Channel 4
no,
teenage
no,
drama.
no. I'm saying they renamed it for the UK because of the UK TV show called Misfits, and they didn't want the word association.
I mean, maybe. That makes more sense than what I was proposing.
Yeah.
Just imagine, like, Wallace and Gromit meet Skins coming to a cinema.
Misfits is a good show. Or at least the
alright.
first 2 seasons are good.
Did you ever finish it?
No.
Okay.
I just don't like it. So, Nathan
Yeah.
is it Nathan? Not Nathan.
Yeah. Well, wait. What's the rest of the sentence?
Wait. Nathan, yeah. The one who's Robert Sheehan. Nathan is my absolute favourite character.
Yeah.
Like, he's fucking brilliant. He's so funny. Like, I remember watching that, I don't know, when I was 15 or whatever, and just crying with laughter at some of his jokes, because they are really, really good. And then he left the show, and it's just nowhere near as good. And then his replacement I find really fucking annoying.
Rudy's not actually that bad.
He's okay. Like,
yeah.
he's not. He's okay, but he's obviously supposed to be a replacement, and he's just nowhere near as good. You know.
See, I thought series 3 was okay, but from series 4 they get rid of like all the cast and start again with new people who aren't bad, but like it's like, why didn't you just, if you lost the cast and it's a character-driven show, stop.
Yeah.
But also, well, I mean, my big problem with Misfits, because like the whole point of it was like, what if you got superpowers, but they were either really unuseful or just trashed here? Basically.
Well, yeah.
And then,
but
it was the whole problem was they were stuck with these stupid powers, and then they're like, at the end of season 2, it's like, oh, here's a guy who can just trade your powers for different powers. I'm like, that undermines the entire point of the show.
Yeah, it is. But also, like, the whole point is that like their powers are supposed to be a reflection of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing, because it's
like,
all
so. Fucking Christ, what's his name? Simon can go invisible because he thinks no one ever sees him because he's an awkward boy. Like, so his power is that he goes invisible. And
absolutely.
then the same with the girl who can't be touched because then everyone wants to bang her, and it's like the same thing because she always gets that, and then she just fucking gets rid of that power, and it's like, it's like, what? It's just like they were supposed to be reflections of their personality, and that's what made the show so good.
Yeah, it was all about sort of, you know, hitting puberty and that kind of like learning to be who you are and like sort of, I guess, embrace your imperfections and stuff. But no, it's fine. You can just trade off your imperfections for ones you find less imperfect. And like, so I suspect they did it because they were like, we've run out of things to do with this set of powers. Let's switch up the powers so we can do more things. So like, again, if you run out of ideas, end the show. This isn't a difficult concept.
Some of their powers are so good that they could, you know, there's almost like there's a reason that Superman has 80 years of back catalogue, you know.
Are you saying Superman's a good hero?
I mean, Superman is a good character, again, because there wouldn't be 80 years of back catalogue if he wasn't.
He
is, like, I know what your reasoning is.
Yeah.
Because he is boring.
I just feel like he's a complete non-character. Like, he doesn't have a character, does he?
Well, he does, though, right? Because have you seen any of, like, the cartoon animations or read any comic books with him in?
What do you think? I mean, I'll grant you, I haven't actually watched or seen like any specific Superman like comic books or anything.
Because he is a good character, because you know what they do with him mostly in you know, fucking like Justice League and all that. He is just this immortal problem solver. And it's like kind of boring to see. And so in the comic books they make most of his problems, like his arcs, are all emotional rather than physical. Like, yeah, there'll be a bad guy, but so one of the best parts of Superman in one of the comic book runs is like his dad has cancer, and so like this is bring this back. So you know Man of Steel?
Yeah.
Have you seen Man of Steel?
No, I went to watch Now You See Me instead, and I feel like that was a better choice, to be honest.
fair enough. Well, spoilers for Man of Steel, right? But his dad dies in it. I mean, that's a famous part of Superman's lore.
I was going to say, isn't that like
dies.
his backstory? Or do you mean his adoptive dad?
Well, not his Kryptonian dad, his Earth dad.
So he dies as well?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you're trying to say it's a spoiler that Superman's original parents die, got some news for you.
So this is a fundamental. Here we go.
Oh, impromptu fundamental.
This is the fucking accidental fundamental.
This episode is all over the place.
Yes, it is. Anyway, so in Man of Steel, it's the fucking stupidest scene in the whole thing, which will tell you a lot about how fucking stupid it is, right? He loves his dad loads, right? That's the whole point. Like his Earth dad is his hero. He looks up to him so much, and he taught him how to be a proper man, you know?
Right.
And to love people and respect everyone and all of this stuff. And there is a tornado that's tearing through their farm, and the dad's like, the dog runs into the tornado, and the dad's like, well, I've got to go save the dog, so I'll go and run in and save the dog. And Superman isn't like, you know what, Dad? Don't run in and save the dog.
I've got superpowers.
I'll go and save the dog because I'm fucking immortal, right?
Yeah.
Superman's dad is like, no, son, I know you're immortal, but I must go in and save the dog.
Unless it's the shed where we keep all the kryptonite. Oh no, what a terrible idea.
Yeah. And so Superman's dad goes in to save the dog and fucking dies. Surprise. What a fucking shock. And then Superman's really upset about it, but also watches his dad die and doesn't go in to then save him. And which is fucking stupid, because for a person who claims to have loved his dad so much and will always try to save everyone using his immense power to do good, he then lets his own fucking dad die for a completely fucking stupid reason. Which is really dumb and really annoying, and it's terrible.
And that's the thing with Superman. I feel like they just have to contrive things for his character.
Yeah,
like, because you're right.
That's the Snyder. That's the Snyder reason is fucking stupid. But in the comic book, Nick, here we go.
Is it where they stored all the kryptonite?
Yeah.
What's an oversight?
But in the comic book, his dad has cancer.
Right.
Or his dad has heart disease or something, some, terminal illness.
And the tornado will cure it.
No, there is no tornado.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, so the point is that in the comic book, his dad dies of a terminal illness. I think it is cancer. And it's something that Superman can't save him from. Because the point is that Superman is this, cosmic entity with all of this power in the world, and he still couldn't save his dad.
Doesn't he have, X-ray eyes?
Yeah, but
he
how's
could
that
radiotherapy.
to help?
Radiotherapy. He could probably blast the cancer out.
Okay. Yeah, just blast it out.
Well, no. But my problem with Superman is he almost seems to have any ability that's convenient. I find it, again, that seems... Surely, I know X-rays aren't quite... It's different, but I feel like he could probably X-ray vision. I feel like it's not above Superman's abilities to get rid of cancer.
But then can't you just accept that that's, a good character arc there? Like, he can't save his dad because of this thing that's out of his control.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that as a concept is good. I just think cancers can't... I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about Superman.
Fine, he had heart disease instead. Does that make it better?
Oh, I don't know, you can probably cure that with a laser.
Yeah, but I think Superman is definitely he's not the best character because of the Captain Scarlet problem.
Well,
but
I feel like
that's why Kryptonite exists, which is fine.
Because Superman basically is the first superhero as we understand them, today, isn't he? So my reading of Superman was always he isn't a character, but he's a representation of an idea. So he was the original, what if a man had powers?
Yeah. What if he was super? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because before it was just there was this very steady development of Superman, from the 40s, of him being this normal man that can do these things, and what you should do with them if you had these powers. So, very early on, he was just...
escapist fantasy. It was any man can read it and be like, what if I could do that kind of thing.
But also, it was more than that, though, because it was, you're right, it was more of an idea. It was more like, he can do anything, and what he chooses to do is help people.
Right.
And it's very early on, he's not beating up fucking space aliens. He's jumping into people's houses to stop an abusive husband from beating his wife,
Yeah.
And he's doing there's this really famous comic book strip of this girl who's like on the top of a building and she wants to kill herself, and Superman flies up there and he doesn't like grab her and take her down or whatever, and she's like, oh, get away from me, you're not gonna save me, I'm just gonna kill myself. And he's like, the choice is your own, but I'm gonna wait up here with you the entire time. I'm not gonna leave you because you shouldn't kill yourself, because I care about you. And it's like, there's this very moral thing behind him that gets lost a bit when he starts fighting fucking space nerds,
And the problem as well with film, because it's such a visual medium, the sort of temptation is to make it all action and and go for the massive spectacle, which unfortunately Superman can very easily slip into.
Yeah, the problem is as well with Henry Cavill, I feel like could have been an incredible Superman, because I think he's got the temperament to deliver that very mighty person who's got these incredible morals, and he did as best as he could with a terrible script and a terrible director.
Right.
I don't know. I like Henry Cavill. I think he's great.
I think I like him as a person. So, Andrew.
Yes.
Should we return to our new segment?
Yes. So, the Nick's film education, which is fucking dreadful.
Documentary education?
Yeah, whatever. Documentary education. Should we call it The Quest for Truth?
You can do. Was that not going to be a different thing?
Nah, we'll call it this.
Okay.
Nick's Quest for Truth.
Sure.
So you watched I'm Not Your Negro, which is a documentary by Raoul Pank, and it's about James Baldwin. I've talked about it before.
Yeah, briefly.
On Field of Streams, and we talked about it last week when I told you to watch it.
We did do it when you were talking about your favourite documentaries a while back. You mentioned it then as well.
So it's a documentary about James Baldwin, and he was friends with Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr.
Were you going to say Martin Clunes?
I was going to say Martin King, and I was like, just MLK. And he talks about their lives, their work as civil rights leaders and activists, their deaths, and he talks about that. And there's a lot of interviews with him on TV, and he wrote books, didn't he?
Well, I think my understanding of it is because obviously the main thing is it's all narrated by Samuel Jackson.
Yeah,
and I believe the narration is basically they're reading his unfinished book.
Yeah.
On the civil rights movement, they're basically one big dramatic reading with occasional interviews spliced in as well.
Yeah. So, what did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. It's sort of so there's this thing I've been thinking about recently about difference between an informative documentary and an entertaining documentary.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is much more informative in terms of it's quite in terms of presentation. It's quite dry.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's definitely dry. But I like that because, especially dealing with such a delicate subject matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if they fucking Tiger Kinged it, it would just be offensive, wouldn't it? It just wouldn't have the right tone at all.
It needs to be it needs to be frank and informative and just sort of which is fair. The only thing is then it's not the kind of film I'd watch for fun. Yeah. But I think it is an essential work of documentary in terms of it's just getting this information out there, because by the sounds of things he wasn't that well known. This book was never finished.
No, which is shocking, really.
Yeah, so without this film, those writings may have just been lost to history.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was before I watched this film.
Yeah,
and now I'm I always remember him because he is obviously very important, and I think what I really like about the film, obviously Samuel Jackson's narration is very good.
I was gonna say, it almost doesn't sound like him.
Yeah, exactly. But what I was gonna say, when he's attached to it, you're so used to seeing him as being this, very, very charismatic, bombastic person.
Yeah, it's quite a comic persona in most films. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas in this, he is very, very refined and pulled back, and you can just about recognise that it's his voice.
I genuinely wouldn't even have known if I hadn't looked it up, and it said at the beginning, it's completely different. Yeah.
But yeah, and I like that they didn't Samuel, have him be his caricature,
Yeah.
and it was like just have him being just reading this thing, apparently because he has a very close connection to it. Like I mean, I could be wrong because I watched an interview. Samuel Jackson did an interview about this film
Yeah.
when it came out, and he said, like he'd met James Baldwin, and he was somehow involved in the civil rights movement in an important way, and I can't remember what it is, and I feel bad for not knowing what it is.
I mean, I suppose they must have been about a similar-ish age, weren't they? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because Samuel Jackson's born, like, I think 1946?
Yeah, he's quite old, but as in, like, he was there. He was active, like, during that time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, as its representation of the truth of the time? Do you think was there anything you wanted it to do that it didn't? Do you think it's how do you think? What do you think of its representation of the truth?
Well, so because it's so informative and sort of so kind of almost cut and dry in terms of presentation. Again, it has this feeling that it is quite sort of almost objective.
Yeah, it's very hard to not believe, isn't it?
But then there's at least two layers to this. Firstly, what's being read out are James Baldwin's writings, which will automatically be filtered through his perception of things.
Yeah.
Which obviously isn't saying he's lying or something, but the point is, it is still his subjective viewpoint.
It's a one man's opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like when he's discussing, say, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and their differences. Like, we don't know for sure exactly how they interacted, but what we're hearing is what James Baldwin made of their interactions.
Yes.
Which on a sideway, no, I mean, I don't know much about Malcolm X anyway, but it's interesting. I never knew that there was sort of contention between those two figures.
Yeah.
But that was something I learned.
Did you not know that there was tension between them?
I never did like history long enough at school to learn about Malcolm X. The only reason I know he exists is because you've mentioned him and because there's a film of it. That's
okay.
Which, I mean, this is another side note, but I find it interesting that like, so Martin Luther King is like the most or Martin Luther King Jr. I should say, is like the most famous like figurehead of civil rights movement. Like to the point he has his own day. It's like the one that everyone knows, and it's his "I Have a Dream" speech is like that iconic. And yet Malcolm X and Medgar Evers, Malcolm X has had his film, so he's still like somewhat known. But it's interesting that like Martin Luther King is the one that everyone rallied behind, and the other two sort of went aside.
Well, I think there is a reason for this.
Yes,
and I think it's because Martin Luther King is like almost undeniably in the right in almost every aspect of his being. He wants the civil rights, he wants the equal rights, and he wants to do it peacefully. Whereas Malcolm X is just like, fuck him,
So I think the thing is, Martin Luther King is easier to swallow for like white people because he's basically like, we shouldn't be against each other, we should be united. It's all about love, and like that's an easy message to swallow.
Yeah.
Well, Malcolm X was a lot more aggressive towards white people, a lot more. Not about radical is the right word, but like he has.
It probably. I mean, yeah, he was more radical. I think that's fair to say.
But that's an interesting thing that I'd never seen before that was brought up in this. But yeah, also, and then the second thing, the second layer of like representation of the truth. I've forgotten the precise word.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But like also, they may have even changed what's being read of James. We don't know if we're being read the entirety of Baldwin's work.
Yeah, that is true.
Or just select chapters, or like even if they're changing the words as they go. So yeah, there's at least two layers of like. Misdirection's also not the right word. What word am I trying to think of?
Well, it's manipulation, isn't it?
That's the one. The one I've been saying for like the last couple of weeks. Manipulation, yeah.
Also, they obviously choose very precise and important times to slice in the interviews.
Yeah.
Which I also like. The interviews are really good, I think, because it's so obvious how intelligent he is, James Baldwin is, and how different the time was. Like he does these interviews where he is very smart and he is very, he is funny.
Well, it's also quite like, so they'd have these shows where like some white guy would come in a bow tie and he'd say some like really smug statement which was supposed to be like, a home run, and the audience would all cheer, and then he'd just hit back with something way more intelligent, completely tear him apart and debunk what he said. Is like, yeah, suck on that, bitches.
Yeah, he's a really cool, like amazing person. I think just because like considering the time it was made, and black people then like weren't considered to be educated at all, or to be educated a lot less than white people. Whereas, and then you have this guy come on to this show, and these fucking white hosts are like, oh fucking here we go, and then he's just so much smarter than they are.
Yeah.
And it's just so satisfying to see, and he's so like eloquent, isn't he? And he's so excellently puts his point together and fucking destroys them. I just think it's amazing to see.
On the subject of education, like there's also the clips of like the first like black children going to white schools and stuff, or protests outside, and like I thought the thing with like using the swastika for all that was like a new thing, but to see it in like I think was it the early 60s?
Yeah, late 50s, 60s.
Like literally like 15 years maybe after World War II, and seeing Americans using the swastika. Yeah. And like, oh, some people, like that's mind-blowingly stupid, hateful, like just completely unself-aware. I genuinely couldn't quite believe as like, really? They were doing that then? That soon after World War II? Yeah. What's wrong with them?
But it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then there's that thing like, I can't remember, it's a famous quote, like, think about how stupid the average person is.
Yes.
And then think that 50% of people are more stupid than that.
That is the thing I keep telling myself when I do customer service. Because if you ever want proof of humanity's stupidity, work in customer service.
But it is mind-blowing, like, just the ignorance and hatred that exists, and it obviously still exists today.
And it's so sort of pervasive. Like, it seems so difficult to get it to go away. Even though you'd think, like, again, there's not really any such thing as objective good or evil in society. But when there's things like racism, which you think should be, like, it should be objectively, like, not good. Like, there's literally no possible way to rationally argue that racism is a good thing. And yet it's still so deep-rooted that people won't shift from it. And it's like, how? How do you not think... How can you not see what you're doing or how your thoughts are? Like, it's so... It's confounding.
It genuinely just fucking baffles me that how racism is justified at all. Like, how in any fucking possible existence is racism ever good? Like, it's so fundamentally wrong and so undeniably bad. Like, how does it still happen on the level that it does? And it's because people are fucking stupid. And it just... It appalls me and disgusts me that that there's that famous like you were talking about, that famous photo of that the black girl who's just trying to go to school. She's just walking in, and like there's that photo of all those people screaming at her, and they're like gonna have signs that say horrible racist things, and it's like, how can you look at yourself and just be like, yeah, that's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And it's just appalling, isn't it?
There was a clip in I'm Not Your Negro, again during the school bit, and it was like some Christian fanatic was like talking about like, oh yeah, God will forgive you for murder and God will forgive you for like these other sins. But like mixing races he is getting angry over, and was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. How is mixing of different ethnic groups worse than murder? What are you on about?
It's just appalling, isn't it? It's just fucking dreadful.
Also, like, if God didn't want, like, why would he make two, like, different races if he didn't, like... Surely, if that's the way God thinks, he would just have one race. So that argument is completely and utterly flawed in every way I can think of, really.
But isn't there a bit in the Bible that, like, there's a whole reason that, like, to explain away these different things, there's a whole reason in the Bible, like, why people speak different languages and... look different and have different skin tones is because it's like a punishment on the human race.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
It was their punishment that everyone would speak different languages and look different, so they wouldn't all, immediately get along or something. And I was like, supposed to be benevolent.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my biggest flaws with like the Christian mythology is like, why if the god you're worshipping has done all the things you think he has, why the hell are you worshipping him? He's a terrible person.
Well, I've seen enough people worship Cthulhu to know that.
Oh, that's true. Well, at least Cthulhu's consistent.
Also, Cthulhu never pretends that he's a good guy,
Also, Cthulhu isn't even necessarily like a bad person. The whole point of Cthulhu is he doesn't give a shit. He is above humanity by like orders of magnitude. That's what cosmic horror is. How have we brought it around to cosmic horror again? What's wrong with us?
Also, Nick, remember at the beginning how we were like, Annihilation is our most talked about film, and we talked about it again.
Oh my god, it literally crops up all the time. We're just so into cosmic horror.
Cool, so I think that about wraps it up. We've talked about some bits about it.
Yeah.
I think it tries to be objective.
Yeah.
But again, as we've discussed before, like that is impossible in a documentary. But I think it does a very good job of presenting its truth as the truth. And I believed it immediately. I don't know about you. Like I have no reason to doubt it at all. Whereas with again, fucking Tiger King. Here we go. But Tiger King, I knew I was being manipulated when I was watching the Tiger King. I knew that they set out to do certain things and to entertain you. Whereas this, I feel like rather than trying to manipulate you, they were trying to inform you.
Plus, also so Tiger King, the stakes in a sort of a global sociological scale aren't that high. Like, it doesn't matter to you as a person whether Joe Exotic was like a good guy or a bad guy. Like, that's just entertainment.
Yeah.
Racism, it almost doesn't matter. I'm not your Negro. I doubt there's actually a huge amount of manipulation compared to other documentaries. Like, it seems quite straight. And also, even if it was manipulated, the point is it's about racism. It's showing what's happened with the civil rights movement and showing why we should be invested in it. So, like, if it has to manipulate things a bit, like, that's a cause that's almost, like, objectively, like, correct.
Yeah.
So, like, that, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't watch it for fun in the same way with something like maybe Senna or Touching the Void, which are, like, enjoyable stories. But I think, as an informative work, I think it's very much essential viewing. Certainly in these day and age, in this, especially like now with all the stuff with BLM and George Floyd at the moment, like it's very relevant.
It's actually a very important viewing experience.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and I think more people should watch it because it's an important part of history that has been not brushed under the rug, but
it's not had the attention it needs.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think a lot of people would find this very interesting and, it's important. And he's a very important figure that I think needs more publicity and more attention. Like, because, he is a hero, I think. He is part of this this civil rights movement. And I think, as I said before, like, I didn't know who he was or had ever heard of him before I saw this film. And I think he should be lifted or elevated to a new status. Like in the interview I watched with Samuel Jackson, he said that James Baldwin should be a household name. He should be, on posters. He should every black family in America should know who he is. Every white family in America should know who he is.
He should be on par with MLK.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So that's Nick's quest for truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so next week, or whenever you can be bothered.
That's rich coming from you.
Well, exactly. That's why I'm saying it, because, it is just whenever I can be bothered.
Now that I've given you your copy of Apocalypse Now, when are we going to be doing Andrew's Film Education?
Possibly next week. It's a strong maybe.
Great.
So we're going to do Catfish.
Yes.
For the next one. Because I've recently watched Catfish. And we've both seen the TV show, but we're talking about the original documentary.
Yeah.
Oscar winning.
Indeed. I remember that coming out, actually. God, that was, 10 years ago?
It's it's pretty old.
Oh, I feel old, Andrew.
It's really good actually. It's
Yeah.
not. It's. I think. I mean, I'll save my opinions for when we do it, but it's obviously a very, very good foundation. But they really, really refine it for the TV show.
I've heard like something about the long lines of like, is it a documentary or is it like it's like a weird hybrid of sort of documentary and fiction or something?
I think it is definitely a documentary
Okay.
because it is an investigation. You know.
Right.
Well, I think the difference is.
I think there was some notion that it was set up or something. I don't know. I haven't read too much into it.
Well, yeah. So they obviously not that it was set up, but it was more like they wanted to make a documentary about a different thing, and sort of it turned into this thing. So
Okay.
they did set up a lot of shots specifically for the documentary, but it's not. That doesn't make it not a documentary. You know, it's still
sure,
like
yeah.
an expose. You know, it's not like they wouldn't have done these things. They wouldn't have done these things if the documentary didn't exist. But that doesn't mean it isn't a documentary. You know, it's not like archive footage or whatever. The events in the documentary happened as they were filming it, which is arguably, you know, their version of displaying a more truthful. More truthful representation. You know.
Wow.
Anyway,
Is it? We shall find out.
yeah. I want to know what you think of it as well.
Yeah. Well, I've been meaning to watch that for about a decade now, I guess. So that's
Okay.
I'll be happy to watch that.
All right.
Okay, so I think we'll leave it there for this week's episode. You've been listening to Ciné Rambles with Nick.
And Andrew.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CinéRamblesOfficial.
And follow us on Twitter at Ciné Rambles.
And for more information, you can read the blog over at cinerambles.blogspot.com.
And you can send us an email or something.
Yeah.
Nick wants to receive your reviews so he can read them out. That's a thing that's happened once.
Yeah. And
Twice.
suggestions or like, yeah.
Has that happened twice? I don't know.
Oh,
Cause,
it's happened at least
no,
once.
it's definitely because Chernobyl and Mandalorian,
yeah.
both by
Twice.
Penny.
But it's not just friends and family. Anyone who's got any suggestions
anyone,
for the show.
Please, if Nick doesn't receive another email within 90 days, he's going to die.
What is the address?
It's cinerambles@gmail.com.
It is indeed.
Cool.
So, Andrew, have you got any final remarks?
Go and watch I'm Not Your Negro because it's important.
Yeah.
That's not a funny last line like everything else is. It's an important one.
Yeah, but it's a serious point. It's on iPlayer. Go watch it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Good night.
Peace. Fuck. That's lame. Let me say goodbye like a normal
Oh,
human
yeah.
being.
What are you doing?
Goodbye, Nick.
Oh, yes, I'm going to die. Or you're going to die.
We need to do it like that thing. Good night, Nick.
I mean, you're saying goodnight to the audience anyway, not me.
Yeah, no. So I say good night, Nick, and then you say good night, Andrew, and then I say good night, audience, and then they say good night, Andrew. It's a thing.
What is this from?
It's from the Waltons or the
From the
smoking. Fucking hell! Have you seen The Smoking Room?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, it's so
is
good.
that the one with Robert Webb?
Yes, I think you'd
no, I haven't.
actually love it, and it's so good.
I saw it on DVD in a charity shop and didn't buy it because it was like £6 and I'm a cheapskate.
We've got that DVD as well.
Oh, I'll nick that as well.
Anyway, goodbye.
Goodbye.